Hello, everyone. Welcome to Alisha Larae today. Hi, I'm Alisha Larae, the host of the Alisha Larae Today show. Today in the studio, I have the lovely Kat Time.
Hi, my name is Kat Tynes. I am the chairperson for the City of Miami Gardens Commission for Women.
And also, to my right, I have Charlene Bowie, also known as Charlie. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
I'm Charlene Bowie, CEO and founder of Coffee Break with Charlie, a women empowerment organization, and I'm an advocate for women that have experienced domestic violence, emotional, physical, and sexual abuse.
Well, today our show is a little bit serious. Sometimes we have a little fun on the show, but right now we're going to talk about domestic violence. And these ladies are going to share a little bit about what they're doing in the community to support women and men that are going through domestic violence. Because we know that most women come forth with domestic violence. They report it, but men don't. But it's true, and it's known that in the statistics that men also go through domestic violence. So, Kat, would you tell us a little bit about what is domestic violence for our audience, those that don't know what it is?
Domestic violence is any type of harmful, negligent type of abuse toward an individual who is a member of your family.
Yes.
It could be in the form of verbal, it could be physical, mental. It is any type of setting where harm is inflicted upon another individual, and in most cases, that person is a family member.
That's correct. Charlie, would you share a little bit about what you know about it? Because I know you have the organization, and later in the show, we'll talk about that and how people can contact you if they're in a relationship like this. But what I want you to share is tell us how to identify that you're in a domestic violence relationship, because people think that domestic violence is only hitting. Could you go into more detail?
Domestic violence is, let's say this, every 2 minutes somewhere in America, a woman is abused. That's every 2 minutes. So that says that no matter where you are, no matter what your income bracket is, you're subject to be exposed to domestic violence. One of the things that we have to remember in recognizing domestic violence, it comes in subtle ways. It's not always forthright. Many times it comes where it's isolation from your family members. It's people who have dealt with low self-esteem.
Right.
They don't know how to distribute their emotions, things of that nature. So we have to be aware of let me say this before I go here, is with domestic violence, many times it's from one family member to the next family member. It's generation to generation. People who have witnessed domestic violence more so than not end up being abusers in their families.
Okay. I know you ladies have, like I said earlier, that you have an event that's going on, but what makes you, both of you, and I want both of you to answer this question. What makes you so passionate about speaking about this topic, about raising awareness, about, having an event that's scheduled to, be on, I think, is it Miami Gardens?
The City of Miami Gardens. Yes,
okay,
yes.
You have an event coming up.
October
So why are you
31st.
so passionate? Why this cause? There's so many different causes out there. Why did you choose domestic violence?
Personally, I was involved in a relationship that I experienced domestic violence, and it made me do some self-examining just to get to the heart of why would I allow myself to be placed in such a situation.
Right.
It is a form of addiction. You think that you can easily slip away. Folks wonder why you stay. You don't even realize that it has gotten as bad as it is until you sit and you think about the gravity of all of it, and then you realize you're the only person who's around, because in most cases, you are isolated, as Charlie said earlier. You're isolated from family, you're isolated from friends. And so I just made a commitment that once I was out of that situation, I would never find myself in it again. And so now I am on a mission to make sure that others are aware of the perils of domestic violence. It is not okay to ever put your hands on another individual.
I agree with that.
In the form of any harm, or even just slightly pushing them, or even saying unkind things, thinking that you can come back later on and apologize. Anyone who believes that they can mistreat you, it's one thing for them to believe they can mistreat you. It is another for you to believe that you deserve that. So I had to be very introspective about how I was going to make sure I was not a part of it anymore. And also I had to take out some time for me to try to understand, where did all of this come from?
I was about to ask you that, and how long.
Yeah.
Before we go to Charlie, I want to know, well, how long did you stay in the situation before you recognized that it was abuse and that you were not going to, accept it anymore?
Well, honestly, I knew from the very beginning that it didn't feel right. It wasn't comfortable. But you just believe the person when they say that it's not going to happen anymore. That was just this particular incident, this particular episode. And after a while, you realize 20 episodes later, it is not just that one occasion. And so after a while, you realize I'm trapped. You feel like you're the only person in the world who's going through something. You feel like you're keeping something, a big secret from everyone. And so when I got out, one thing I did was made sure that I was completely out, so that I was not in a position to return to that situation. And so I always have to constantly work on myself to make sure that I keep myself in a position of improving the quality of my lifestyle. And I can almost identify when someone is going through a situation.
You said isolation. So your family, by you being isolated, that means you didn't contact them, you didn't go over to family functions. Did they know what was going on? Did you share it with anyone in your family?
My family knew. My family knew. We are extremely close. And one thing about my family, anytime something happens and it is not in the norm, they immediately identify that something is going on. But, you are in a situation where you're trying to protect the secret. You don't want, and so you tend to push people away very, very gently. And after a while, they think, well, we can't reach the said person. So, they just kind of like disappear for a minute. They want to help. They want to help, but they're not in a position where they can reach you. And a part of you does not even want to be contacted in that way. So you just kind of leave yourself in a position where you don't want to be discussing the matter with anyone.
And Charlie, to you now, what made you so passionate about this?
My passion came from a different perspective. I am a survivor, but my main focus was to take the ugly out of domestic violence, because the woman is always blamed, and you hear people say things like, well, I will never let a man beat me, but you let a man cheat on you. So it still affects you as your person. So my main focus was for us to take a look and say it is not always the woman's fault, because the whole point of an abuser is to isolate you. And after a few hits and a few negative words, you think there is no hope. You think there is nowhere to turn. There is no one that you can share it with. So my main focus was to take my life, to take my story, and allow people to see that it was not my fault. And the other objective that I have is that we need to learn how not to pass judgment on the person who's been involved in domestic violence, and to be able to give it a face. And in giving it a face, you get to see your brother, your sister, your mother, your cousin. And in the process of all of that, you come to a place where you say, this is my sister and it is not her fault.
Right.
That problem of an abuser comes from that individual who's abusing you. And when you look back on it, it's their family upbringing, their
Right.
family
Absolutely.
history,
Yes.
the abuse that started in their home that is now transcended to your home.
your
So when we
relationship.
start to stick up for each other and take up the plight and say to our sister, I'm not going to allow you to be in it by yourselves, and to say trigger words. Whereas you may be the person in the situation, and I say things like, well, I'll never let a man slap me.
Right.
You will never come to me because you already see that I have a prejudgmental
That's
attitude.
true.
So if my
Yeah.
attitude is prejudgmental, you'll never think that you can get any form of support from me. So the thing that I thought is, this is how we educate one another. When I take my circumstances and let you see what your circumstances is just as horrific as mine, it takes the ugly out of it. You are no better than me because
Right.
I was in an abusive relationship. You're no better if he's cheating on you, if he's emotionally abusive, if he's taking your money, he's isolating you. It's no
Right.
different. It does not matter if he does not hit you. The fact that he's cheating on you, the fact that he's calling you every day at work. Where are you? What are you doing? Who are you talking to?
That's right.
It is amazing.
Checking your phone.
Yes.
Checking your car,
Yes.
timing you when you.
Yes.
So all of that is a form
so
of
my
abuse.
my passion was to give it a different look.
Mm-hmm.
And many people don't want to share their story. My life is an open book. I'm not ashamed.
That's
It
right.
was not my fault.
Neither am I.
I came from a loving family. It was my abuser was my ex-husband, and a lot of times what I do is because my ex-husband's family loves me. I am their aunt. And so I take the situation, and you have to kind of really, it's a delicate
It's
situation,
very delicate. It
especially
is.
when the outside family members still love you, still respect you. It is not the children's fault. It is not the family
That's
members'
right.
fault. But my story is my story, and I get to tell my story.
That's awesome.
You know, it's not a matter of making the family look bad. This is my experience. Sorry that it may affect you in
family.
any kind of way, but that's your business. And what I get to do is I get to help the next woman that tries to figure out, how can I tell the story without hurting the family members? We should not be in a position where we have to stay in it because you don't want to hurt Aunt Susie, or
Right,
you don't want
yes.
cousin Sally to be offended. Get over it.
So let me ask you this, both of you. Do you feel like you went through this for a reason, like God, because people always say, why did God do this to me? Why did this happen to me? Do you feel like you went through this so this can help someone else? Because you have to be transparent, you know, and you have to share your story.
First, I'd like to say this isn't God's fault.
Oh, of
you
course
know-
not. That's not what I'm saying.
No, I know that you're
Because
not.
people say we go through certain situations to help someone else.
Right.
So what I'm saying, do you feel like you went through that to help someone, or you can help someone by what you went through? Or because some people say that, they'll say, oh, I went through, my story is for somebody else. I didn't go through this for myself. I went through this to help someone else.
Sometimes in life, our experiences are for other people. This just happened to be my experience. I don't think that I went through this for someone. What I believe is that I've been through this, and from it, I've transformed my life. I transformed the way I think, the way that I see things. And I could say to someone else, this is not your fault, and this is how you come
Exactly.
out. You have to see the circumstances
Yeah.
from a different perspective. And then you have to own your negatives, because there are times when, not that we give the abusers a reason to abuse us, but we allow ourselves to stay in it. Sometimes us as women, we become so needy. When a man comes along and you know from the beginning he's not respecting you, he's not calling you, he's not giving you his time, walk away.
Walk away. But men go through domestic violence also. So through your organization and the things that you're doing, do you have any men that come and tell their story?
Yeah.
Because we're talking about women, but you know,
Yeah.
men are watching this show also. So share, if you can.
I can share the
Share
story without
some-
identifying the
Okay,
people.
share something that a man went through because we don't see it, because they'll acknowledge it, but they won't tell it out in the open. So share that with us.
I have two incidents. The first one is, I only talk about domestic violence when I feel led to talk about it.
Okay.
I don't run around and go, "Oh, I am a survivor." It's not that for me. It is about prevention, intervention, and how to go about change. And when I do it that way, the strangest things just kind of happen. And I remember I was doing one of my events, and I was talking about domestic violence, sexual abuse, and I said something to the effect of, how many people you know that have been abused, but that is not what the person heard. The person heard, how many of you have had that have experienced incest? I don't know how they heard that, but that is what they heard. And they raised their hand, and it took all my strength to just not go, what?
Right.
You know, because of who it was. But what I watched was, I watched the brokenness from the inside of a man, a good looking man. You know what I mean? But his abuser was a family member.
Most of the 99% of the times it's always a family member, you know, with the
it's not always a family member.
Well, with the cases that I have ran across with the
it's someone that they know.
Well, yeah, okay.
It's
let me
someone
rephrase
that they know.
Someone
not,
that's very close to them.
Yes.
I wanted to expound on the question that you asked about, did we go through this experience for someone? I personally feel, of course, I hated going through the experience that I did. I felt like 9 years of my life was literally wiped away from me. But in that, I had to transform the situation to where it worked for me, to empower me, so that not only will that never happen to me again, it will never happen to me again. I had to do some self-identifying with, why did it happen, so that I can understand.
So what did you come up with?
What I came up with was, I was weak. I was, I just wasn't.
Were you sassy? Did you provoke him? Some people say,
absolutely
"Oh,
not.
you provoked me. You made me do it." Or I'm just asking.
Absolutely no. That's a great question. Absolutely not, because domestic violence is not at all about the person on the receiving end. Domestic violence is about the abuser. The abuser,
control.
It's a lot of things. It is a lot of things, and that person is very, very ill. That person is ill. He is as ill as someone who is an alcoholic. He is as ill as someone who is on drugs. He is as ill as an ill person. And so fault and blame and, antagonizing the situation, those things never even cross my mind. I can't concentrate on what the situation was, what the abuser's problem is. I need to concentrate on, what can I do? How can I identify what is it about me that allowed me to, meet someone that I pretty much knew from the very beginning this was not the situation I needed to be in. Secondly, why didn't I leave?
So are you saying before you got married, was he abusive? Did he do those little things that could have was like a warning that could have kept you from marrying him?
Absolutely.
So why did you marry him?
Because I was afraid I was afraid to not marry him.
Really?
And it's not always about why don't you. The whole purpose of an abuser is to control and manipulate.
Right, exactly.
And once they have the power of controlling,
it's almost like you're in a trance.
Yes.
You don't realize.
Yes.
You just feel all alone. You really and truly do. There is no exact answer. No exact science for why you find yourself in this silly kind of love song.
So in the middle of all of this, did you all, both of you, make like because I've taken a domestic violence class before, training, and they told us to teach the mothers how to make an escape route. Like if you have children, you put away all the
birth certificates,
right?
records,
that's all of that, and you have everything stored in one place. So if you have to escape, you have money put aside, different things inside the suitcase just put aside. Just
that's an educational component.
But it's not reality.
No, that you learn now.
That is
not the reality that we have every day.
Right.
Every day we're just trying to stay alive. We're just trying to keep our emotions together.
But to not take away from survivors who do have that as an option or as a choice. There are some women or men who have to sit and plan an escape route,
right?
Especially
if you have
an
children.
Escape route meaning where am I going to hide all of my documents?
But nowadays we're teaching
number.
that, because back when I was experiencing domestic violence, I wasn't taught any of these things. So a part of what we do now is to educate people what an escape plan looks like. Where is a safe house? Who do you contact? Who do you trust? And a part of the passion that I have is to educate the onlooker, because we're so quick to say,
girl, you could just get out of it, you could run away or whatever, but it's not that easy.
Because they have captivated your mind and your emotions and how you feel and how you think. So now you've got to reprogram yourself, reprogram your children, reprogram them that are on the outside looking in, and then address the triggers that you have within yourself.
That's right.
It is as much as we don't want to hear, it is easy to end up with someone else with the same pattern but a different twist.
That's right.
And what happens is, as women, we don't want to be alone. Right. This is a funny little thing that my children say. My children say, Mom, we go dig you up a man and give you one. Part of that has to do with, if you're not going the same direction that I'm going, if you cannot lead me, because I have strong personality, but my personality was developed from the things that I suffered. And you can't change my experience. You can't change the fact that I'm independent.
Right.
You can't change that I am going to do what I want to do when I want to do it. What you can do as a man is come along and learn how to lead. How to lead independent women without damaging them. Understand who they are, where they come from, especially godly men. You have these men that say they love God and they manipulate and they're lying and they're hiding behind the pulpit and all of these different things. But we don't want to address that. So what we have to do is we have to teach men how to treat us. And in the process of that, if this man is not treating you the way you want to be treated, walk away.
And that's
be okay with being
that is
single.
From the very beginning, not after a few episodes. That is from the very, very beginning. The other thing is, it's not so much about teaching the man to love the independence within me or whatever, the strong woman type mentality some like to have. It is meeting a mate that respects your space and respects his space. And when you meet a man who is filled with all of those good things, then that is someone who is of your equal footing. When the pressures and the demands aren't there, when all you can do is smile, if that person makes you smile, then that's the most important thing. That's the most important thing. We tend to think that we're supposed to be owned, we're supposed to be managed, and
no, I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that.
Right, but see, the thing is, a lot of us will say, I don't agree with that, but we found ourselves
fall into that trap.
And one of the things that I'm saying when I say know who you are, I'm not even talking about dating at this point. When a man finds you attractive, because he finds you attractive, that doesn't mean you have to be attracted to him. Exactly. Know what it is you want. Know the direction that you're going. So when that man comes along and wants to be a part of your life, if you have nothing in common with him, then you're wasting time. So the whole purpose of men and women coming into each other's lives is, do we have purpose together? Do we have similar likes? If I'm an extrovert and he's an introvert, where are we going?
But they say, what is it? Opposites
Opposites
attract.
attract.
But you
Some
have-
people, it
oh,
works
well,
for some people. It
there-
may not work for you, but
No,
it works for some.
it wouldn't work for me.
guess
Well, it
I
works
just-
for some people.
I just don't believe in so much of all of those formalities.
Yeah, that's
I just
Those
want
cliches.
to get with the person and mesh and have a great relationship. And for me, it has to be one day at a time
There
that
you
I
go.
work on a
There you
beautiful
go.
relationship. I don't have any, premonitions about, I don't want to even worry about 30 years from now. For me, what is therapeutic is to concentrate on one beautiful day after the next.
And for me, it's a matter of communicating.
Okay.
That's not texting. That's not inboxing.
I know that's key. That's for
I mean,
me.
but we're in a day.
That's key.
We're in a stage where text messaging
I
and
know,
social
it's taking
media.
over.
Yes, people are not communicating.
But it's
that's
nice
more.
when
But
they
that
send you the
stems
little
from an
love text.
argument.
Right.
Just kidding.
And it's
No,
cute when they say
no,
"I
there's
love
a-
you." So
Absolutely.
throughout the day, if he say "I love you, babe,"
No, that's
Or-
different.
okay.
But I know people that their form of
If
communication
your form of
is
communication,
social
Well, that's their
if
problem.
your form
If they
of
accept
communication is no communication,
That's
that's
a
not
problem.
relationship.
That's a problem.
Absolutely.
But the
That's
show
not a
is
That's like
almost
online dating. It's the same thing.
There you go.
okay. Well, we'll have
And
to
that's
have
for
another
another
show. All of this is, we can go on
Yes.
because domestic violence is in October. But before we end this show, I wanted to talk a little bit about the event that you all have coming up, because our viewers out there, they may want to attend it. And we're right
Absolutely.
here in Miami Gardens, Florida. So if you live in Miami Gardens, Florida, listen up, because they have a wonderful event that will help somebody you never know. But
Right.
anyway, tell us about the event that's coming up.
Well, the City of Miami Gardens Commission for Women is an advisory council that I gotta redo it. Keep going. Okay. The City of Miami Gardens Commission for Women is hosting its annual Purple Purse Passionate Lunch. The City of Miami Gardens Commission for Women is hosting its Purple
Purse.
Purple Purse. Thank you. You were supposed to help me.
Keep going.
The City of Miami Gardens Commission for Women is hosting its Purple Purse Awareness Luncheon. This luncheon is designed to bring awareness to domestic violence. Our keynote speaker is Miss Charlie Bowie. The event will be held on October 31st, 2015. You can visit the city's website for more information.
Could you tell us a little bit about what you'll be speaking about? We know it's domestic violence, but are there any key points that you're going to touch on?
Well, one of the things that I'm going to do is I'm going to tell my own story.
Okay.
Because the best way to get a message across is when you tell your own story. And to take, like I said, to take the ugly out of it, because many people don't know my story. They just see my face.
Right.
And the whole purpose is to change lives and bring about change and intervention.
Awesome. And we also have a birthday girl in the house. So before we close out, we would like to say happy birthday to Miss K. Tynes.
Thank you.
Okay, and I'm going to have to have you women on the show again, because, this isn't enough time to talk about this event and domestic violence. Because domestic violence isn't just for that 1 month that we celebrate. It's
Right.
going on
Domestic violence is a
24/7,
lifestyle for
365.
And it's a lifetime of healing, because you're out does not make you whole.
That's right.
And thank you again for tuning in to the Alisha Larae Today Show. See you next week, same time, same place. Hey, Facebook friends. I hope you're watching the Alisha Larae Today Show right here on Musgrove Music Gospel TV every Wednesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. See you there.
Put your hands in the air. Put 'em up. 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 If you love the Lord like I do, say amen. Amen. If you believe that Jesus
Wireless Connection Payment Center. Pay all your bills here. We buy and sell new and used cell phones. No contracts, no credit checks, no hidden fees. Unlock any GSM phone with Simple Mobile. Bring your GSM phone and keep your